We are honored to be joined by Mr. Daniel Gill, middle school teacher in Montclair, New Jersey, and author of No More Chairs. Mr. Gill, how you doing, my friend?
Good. Thank you for having me.
So 52 years as an extraordinary public school teacher. The thing you're most proud of is?
The desegregation of helping with the desegregation of the Montclair School District, most notably this school, Glenfield Middle School, which is located in the south end of Montclair, which was underserved when I came here, and which we worked very diligently to renovate, number one, and number two, to rebuild a program that would be representative of a good school and also a school that would attract people from throughout the community.
Your commitment, Dan, and we've known each other a long time. Mr. Gill is a former teacher of our son, Nick, now
Yes.
at a major university, and was a big part of our son's life, along with thousands and thousands of other 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Mr. Gill teaches those 3 grades. You have one teacher that whole time. So, Dan, let me ask you this. No More Chairs is significant. It goes all the way back to your childhood in New York, correct?
Yes, it goes back to my childhood. It goes back to a birthday party. It goes back to a day that should be celebrated, and it turned into something terrible.
Tell everyone who Archie was and why Archie matters.
Yeah. So Archie matters because he was a friend of mine, and we were both invited to a birthday party by another friend. And we, in those days, used to get dressed up in your tie and your jacket. And we were just so jazzed up because we were going to go see him, and we are going to have ice cream, and we're going to have cake, and we're going to play games. And when we arrive at the party, the mother of the young man who had the party opens the door and says that I could go in, but that Archie couldn't because there were no more chairs. Now, Archie was African American. So I was like stunned at that point because I had never encountered any bias like that in my life. And so I assured the mom that I would go home and get extra chair if you don't have enough chairs. But even if I couldn't get a chair, I could sit on the floor. It didn't matter to me because I was, really unaware of what she was saying. And then she said, no, you can go in, but Archie can't because there are no more chairs. So he has to go home. And at that point, it really hit me that, these are all these code words that people use to discriminate against people. And it was a microaggression against my good friend and a humiliation for him. And we both cried huge tears. It was a 7th floor of an apartment house. I remember going down the elevator, and we just had those big tears rolling down our cheeks.
You did not stay connected to Archie, did you?
No. So we graduated from elementary school in 1960, and he drifted to another school. I did too. And that was one of the things that came up. So since this story has become out there to lots of people, there was a producer from CBS. I think she wanted to reunite us. And so what happened was she said, oh, I can find anybody. And so about 2 days later, she got back to me. She said, I found him. The good news, I found him. But the bad news is he died last year from COVID. But the good news was he did work in social work for his life. And I think the one question I had for him was, does he remember that incident? I mean, was that just one of many incidents in his life, or was it something that it would stand out just like it did for me?
You've left an empty chair in your classroom.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you tell your students that chair means?
First of all, I think that metaphors are really great for kids. Kids understand metaphors. And I think that any teacher that teaches understands that kids grab onto things like that. And so I hope that what they get out of this is, first of all, we talk a lot about opportunity. Just having the opportunity to sit in this classroom and learn is such a great thing. And that if anybody comes at that door, they deserve that. And number two, what it means is that we don't look at you for, your exterior. We just accept you. And whoever you may be, that's who you are. And that's somebody we'd like to get to know. And we want you to feel included. And so, so from that standpoint, those those lessons, sometimes I just have this chair, and sometimes when they're not nice to each other, I say, "Oh, you don't have a chair for somebody today?" And it kind of like stops it right there. And the other thing I'd like to say was, the whole story, I was teaching Martin Luther King. I mean, where did the story come from? And I was teaching about Martin Luther King, and it was his birthday. And, we teach the letters from Birmingham jail. We teach, the March on Washington and the Selma March and all that. And I was saying, this is not connecting with the kids. It's, history. And so I thought, well, I have a birthday story. And so I started to share it on the weekend of Martin Luther King's birthday. And I thought that, I said, this is a birthday story. And I think it kind of like connects the dots for you a little bit about what happens when people are not kind, not considerate, not open, not empathetic.
What do you believe the greatest contribution you've made over these 52 years in the classroom has been?
Well, I get a lot of mail from, when you hang out like I do, I get a lot of emails, which is really great.
And you also have students come back and visiting you, and I know that.
Yeah, they tell me what they're doing, and every teacher loves that. I always say, when you're a carpenter, you know what you've accomplished every day, but when you're a teacher, you don't necessarily know what happened, and sometimes it doesn't happen for years. But then kids come back and tell you, that was something that you did. I think the one thing, the message that they give me is it's the Maya Angelou thing. It's not what you do; it's how you make me feel. So very often I'll say, well, what'd you learn about the Constitution? Not so much. But I remember the day you bent over and you split your pants and you laughed at yourself, that kind of thing. I remember the day I had one student, we were writing letters. This goes back to Ross Perot running for president. And I have, every time they run for president, I have the kids write letters. And I said to this one kid, how do you know your letter is going to be read by Ross Perot? And he says, oh, I don't know. And I said, well, you got to make it stand out. So I gave him some crayons and I said, draw on the envelope and, make a decoration. And maybe he'll open it because it stands out. So we sent it. He got a letter back from Ross Perot. And I just saw him recently, maybe a year ago. And he said, you know what, Mr. Gill, you know what you taught me? I always have to stand out. And so those are kind of the things that I cherish as a teacher, as somebody who believes in young people and giving kids opportunities to learn, but most importantly, feel good about themselves.
Dan, we don't editorialize on public broadcasting when you're hosting and anchoring, but I feel comfortable saying this to you, and I know I speak for countless parents. You've made a difference. Cannot thank you enough as a parent of a kid in public schools and kids in public schools for the work that you do every day. You've done for 52 years. To you and to all the public school educators out there, we say thank you. Job well done. Thank you, Dan.
Well, I always say to parents, thank you. I always end every conference by thanking a parent for having faith in public schools in a time when we're being attacked for so many reasons. And in a time, after COVID, where we've had so much difficulty trying to get these kids back on target. And I really do mean that. I thank people having that understanding that public schools are great, especially here in Montclair, which are diverse, which offer kids various kinds of opportunities, to trust us to do the right thing and to help kids become better students, but also become better people.
That's Mr. Gill. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
You got it. We'll be right back.
Think Tank with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by the Turrell Fund, supporting Reimagine Childcare. RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together. Kane University. New Jersey Sharing Network. The Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey. The North Ward Center. PSE&G. Newark Board of Education. And by Wells Fargo. Promotional support provided by Insider NJ. And by CIANJ and Commerce Magazine.
I'm very grateful that I'm still here.
That's me and my donor when we went to celebrate our first anniversary.
With a new kidney, I have strength.
They gave me a new lease on life.
I'm still going everywhere and exploring new places.
Nobody thought I was going to be here. Nobody.
And I look forward to getting older with my wife. That's possible now.
We're transforming lives through innovative kidney treatments, living donor programs, and world-renowned care at 2 of New Jersey's premier hospitals.
They gave me my normal life back. It's a blessing.
RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.